If I had to bet on the future of the EV industry, say 20 years from now, this will be my bet. Japanese automakers will go the same way as their electronics counterparts, such as Sony, Panasonic, Toshiba, and Sharp. That is, they'll be a shell of their former selves due to their inability to innovate or react quickly to changing disruptive technologies. This is EVs with Qua, and I make reactions, reviews, news, and commentary on EVs. If you like EVs as well or just interested in EVs, click the like and subscribe button below. In the early 2000s, you could walk to any big box retailers and you see in terms of the main displays, there'll be Sony, Toshiba, Panasonic, and other Japanese manufacturers. These days, if you walk to these same big box retailers, you'll notice it's LG, Samsung, and other Korean and Chinese brands. And it's not just me noticing this. Here's some articles about the decline of Japanese electronic giants, some from even a decade ago. Here's one, and here's another one, and here's another one. But why did these electronic giants fall? Sony and Panasonic were innovative in the past. They were pioneers of the CRT televisions, which dominated televisions from the 1990s to early 2000s. However, since they were so heavily invested in CRT technology, they didn't react quickly enough to the plasma and LCD technologies, allowing Korean and Chinese companies to overtake Sony and Panasonic in terms of the global television market. I predict we're going to see the same situation play out for Japanese automakers. They were pioneers of hybrid technology. Toyota launched the Prius in 1997, and Honda launched the Insight in 1999. However, like Sony and Panasonic, these Japanese automakers are so heavily invested in hybrid and other technologies that they're reluctant to switch to all-electric vehicles. And like Sony and Panasonic, consumers who want the latest technologies, in this case, electric vehicles, will migrate to their competitors. We could actually see this phenomenon happening in real time. In a November 2022 Global Mobility Report, we can see that the vast majority of people who switched to all-electric vehicles migrated and defected from Japanese automakers. In this chart, we can see what electric cars consumers are buying and what vehicles and brands they traded in. As we can see for the Tesla Model Y, Toyota and Honda are the brands that people are defecting the most from. And for the Hyundai Ioniq 5, it's Subaru, Toyota, Honda, and Mazda. People are defecting from these Japanese brands not because they're disloyal or don't like them. It's because if they want an electric car, which a lot of people do, there's no meaningful alternatives from these Japanese brands that they can buy. I guarantee you if Toyota and Honda provided the RAV4 electric car and the Honda CR-V electric car, a lot of these people who migrated to the Tesla Model Y would not have defected. They will remain loyal to these Japanese automakers if they had great options for electric vehicles right now. I believe this comment best encapsulates my thoughts on this phenomenon. But this all begs the question, why are Japanese automakers so hesitant to adopt EVs? Recently, Akio Toyoda said that people involved in the auto industry are largely a silent majority. The silent majority is wondering whether EVs are really okay to have as a single option, but they think it's the trend so they can't speak out loudly. The right answer is still unclear. We shouldn't limit ourselves. This shows Toyota, and by extension, Japanese automakers' reluctance on betting on an all-electric future. Toyota only has one EV out right now, the BZ4X, which came out to mid-level reviews. And Honda has no EVs out right now. Mazda launched their disappointing MX-30, which only has 100 miles of range. This contrasts with other automakers such as GM, Volvo, and Audi, which are betting on an all-electric future and are transitioning to only EVs. CNBC recently did a video on Toyota and why they're reluctant to switch to all EVs. They hinted at, but glossed over what I believe is the biggest contributor to why Japanese automakers are reluctant to switch to all electric vehicles. Here's the short clip.
Toyota really kind of doesn't want to dive into anything too quickly and then have to waste billions upon billions of dollars investment. Also, culturally, Toyota, the Japanese automakers, are typically a little bit more cautious when it comes to new technologies. They want to do a lot of due diligence and they want to make sure it's the right direction for the company.
Did you catch that? The biggest issue is Japanese culture itself. It's the reason why Japanese electronic giants such as Sony and Panasonic are no longer at the forefront of television technology. And it's also going to be the reason why Japanese automakers such as Honda and Toyota are not going to be at the forefront of automobile technology. Instead of being cutting edge, anticipating and leading, they are following and reacting. So you're probably wondering what I mean by Japanese culture. When brands market cross-culture, they have to be cognizant of how people perceive themselves, others, and work. In comes the Hofstede's cultural dimensions theory, a framework created by social psychologist and anthropologist Gert Hofstede, which seeks to place countries in 6 cultural dimensions. They are power distance, individualism versus collectivism, masculinity versus femininity, uncertainty avoidance, and long-term versus short-term orientation. For this video, I'm going to focus on uncertainty avoidance. This dimension measures the extent on which people are comfortable with ambiguity and change. High uncertainty avoidant countries tend to have a stronger desire for stability and predictability, while low uncertainty avoidant countries tend to be more comfortable with ambiguity and change. Guess what Japan's uncertainty avoidance score is? It's one of the highest in the world at 92 out of 100. For context, the US has an uncertainty avoidance score of 46 out of 100, while China has an uncertainty avoidance score of 30 out of 100. That means that Japanese culture tends to be scared of change and ambiguity. Basically, Japanese culture by its nature is risk adverse. This cultural characteristic can be seen in Japanese business culture, with a strong emphasis on hierarchy, consensus decision making, and long-term relationships. Before anything can be approved, a decision has to be approved by multiple stakeholders. If you thought bureaucracy was high in American companies, Japanese companies take it to another level. Risk aversion is why Japan, even though it's one of the most affluent countries in the world, has one of the lowest scores of entrepreneurial activity. In fact, Global Entrepreneurship Monitor put Japan dead last out of 24 developed countries for entrepreneurial activity. Risk aversion is why Japanese companies tend to prefer incremental changes over disruptive technologies. That's why Japanese automakers tend to focus on small incremental changes such as fuel economy, while ignoring big disruptive changes such as electric vehicles and autonomous driving. So when you have large bureaucratic companies such as Toyota and Honda mixed with Japan's risk-averse culture, it's no wonder that these Japanese automakers are hesitant to switch to all-electric vehicles. Much like Japanese electronic giants such as Sony and Panasonic of 20 years past, I believe Japanese automakers are too risk-averse and will fail to innovate for the upcoming future. It's a symptom of Japanese culture, and unfortunately, I believe these Japanese automakers have already peaked. And if you're wondering what country I believe will be the future of electric vehicles, it would actually have to be China. Just looking at the cultural dimension of uncertainty avoidance, China actually has a lower score than that of the United States. And we can already see this happening with Chinese automakers such as BYD, XPeng, NIO, and others. But that's another video for another day. This is EVs with Kwa, and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Is culture a huge component of why Japanese automakers are reluctant to switch to EVs? If not, what are the other factors? If you like what you saw today, please click the like and subscribe button below. I have other great videos coming up, with one being the review of the BMW i4 M50.